What's up everybody, it's Gomladex and welcome back to another Chaos Draft here, just waiting on the last person to join the queue. Before we hop into this, I would like to say real fast, for everybody who likes the Magic Arena videos, don't worry too hard about it. They will be back soon. I'm just grinding up enough gold to do another draft. I should be able to do a draft tomorrow for the video. But anyways, let's just hop into this Chaos Draft. So we start off with a pack of Dark Ascension. There's only one, insane pick here. I guess there are multiple really good picks, to be honest. There's Increasing Devotion. It's a 5-mana sorcery, you get 5 1/1s, and then it has Flashback for 8 mana, and if you flash it back, you get 10 1/1s. So this card is like a super bomb. I mean, they are just 1/1s, so it isn't really good, by itself. It's not really gonna win, sometimes. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of insane, but I could be wrong. There's also Lingering Souls, which is incredible. 3 mana, you get 2 1/1 flyers, and then you flash it back for 2, get 2 more 1/1 flyers. I don't actually know which is better. 4 1/1 flyers, or 15 1/1s on the ground. I think whichever I take, the other one's not going to wheel. I'm going to take Increasing Devotion here, because it keeps us in just white. So we can move into whichever secondary color happens to be open. And I'm kind of disappointed by that pick here because every good card in this pack, in my opinion, well, the best cards in this pack are definitely black cards. We have Shriekmaw, which is incredible. It's a 5-mana 3/2 that can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and black creatures, and when it enters the battlefield, you destroy a non-artifact, non-black creature. It also has an evoke cost for 2, which means for 2 mana, it enters the battlefield then dies, so you just get the enter the battlefield trigger. So at worst, it's a 2-mana sorcery, you destroy a non-artifact, non-black creature, which is super good. There's also 2 copies of Unholy Hunger. My only problem with taking a black card in this pack is that no matter what I take, I'm sending more great black cards. So the pick might be Wingsteed Rider, just because it's a good white card, and then I try not to get into black because there's so much good black in here, but I'm going to take Shriekmaw. This card just seems really good. A 5-mana 3/2 Fear is a threat on its own, and it gets rid of one of their creatures when it comes into play. That seems quite good. So this is a pack of Champions of Kamigawa. Pretty bad pack, as Kamigawa packs tend to be. I think the best card in here is probably Nezumi Cutthroat. It has Fear as well, so it can't be blocked except by artifacts or black creatures. But it can't block. So it's basically a 2-mana 2/1 that against a decent amount of decks is a 2-mana 2/1 unblockable that can't block. I do think it's the best card in here. I think everything else in here is utter garbage. I mean, Devoted Retainer's okay. It's a 1-mana 1/1 whenever it gets into combat, so whenever it blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1. And every other card here is just bad. It's a 5-mana 2/1 with no abilities, a 3-mana 1/1 flyer with no relevant abilities, a 3-mana sorcery, 3 creatures can't block this turn, stuff like that. I mean, the 4-mana 4/3 in green is the next best card in this pack. That's just what happens when you get a pack of Kamigawa. So, this is a pack of Urza's Saga. I guess we just want a 3-mana 2/2 Swamp Walk. In some matchups, this will just be unblockable, which could be really good, because the rest of these cards don't seem that great. So 1-mana enchantment, when your opponent casts a creature spell, it becomes a 2/2 creature permanently. So it's kind of like a 1-mana 2/2, but it doesn't activate until your opponent casts a creature. Rune of Protection could be really boss in the sideboard. Like, if I play against a mono-green deck, then this card can just stop all of the damage anything they do does, so that could be good. Also, Disenchant can be good in the sideboard, destroy an artifact or enchantment, if we ever run into a threat like that, but I'm just going to take the Bog Raiders. So here we have a pack of Dominaria, and there's a Fall of the Thran. I don't think this card's that good. In Limited, I think you really have to build around it in a certain way. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that doesn't work too well. I think I'm just going to take the Menace creature with Kicker. So yeah, 1-mana 1/1 Menace, or a 4-mana 3/3 Menace, which is pretty good. Here we have a pack of Theros. I really hope we return to Theros sometime. I love the artwork of all of this stuff having to do with Nyx and the gods. I love the starry, night sky looking entities and stuff. I think it's really nice. I also love the Greco-Roman lore of everything and the theming. I really do hope that we go back to Theros sometime. And then, of course, all of the god cards make great commanders. Anyways, this pack isn't very exciting for black or white. Maybe I'll just take Rage of Perforos in case white ends up not being open. Just move into black-red instead. Yeah, I think I'll do that, because my other option is a 4-mana 2/4, which isn't super exciting, so I'll just take another card to maybe swap colors later. So, here's a pack of... is this Gate Crash, or is this Return Round? This is Gate Crash, I think. But I think the best cards here are Daring Skyjack, 2-mana 3/1, and if you attack with 2 other creatures, it gets flying till end of turn. So this is good in a really aggressive deck, which we are shaping up to be. We've got some early drops that are all evasive in some way, and a 3-mana 1/1 that can't be blocked except by rogues, which I think this is probably better. Just because I think it's very rare in a Chaos draft someone's going to have a deck with some rogues. So this is basically a 3-mana 2/2 unblockable. It's a Phantom Warrior, which is really nice. Here we have a pack of Eldritch Moon, and all these cards look pretty bad. Wolfkin Bond might be the best card. 5 mana, you get a 2/2, and enchanted creature gets +2/+2, but it's not really for our deck. Here we have Spectral Reserves, I guess we could make. It's a 4-mana sorcery, get 2 1/1 flyers. That's probably the best card for this deck. Geistfield Scarecrow can be good just because it's a 4-mana 4/4. Yeah, that could be a better pick. I'm not actually sure about that one. So it's a 4-mana 4/4, but then for the rest of the game, your creatures cost 1 more to cast. But actually, in this deck, I think that would be good. Because currently we only have 1 creature that costs more mana than 4. So we could just top off our curve with a 4-mana 4/4. It's too late now, we've just got the thing that makes some flying tokens. But anyways, this pack, everything's bad. Just some really bad enchantments and stuff. I guess we could toss in a Screeching Scab for if we end up in blue. Alright, we got the Ultimate Masters pack again. I think Dimir Guildmage is a really good card, whichever color that you're in. It's a 2-mana 2/2. For 4 mana, you can have someone discard a card if you pay a black and 3. Or for a blue and 3, you can have somebody draw a card. So this card is really good at getting card advantage throughout the game. I think I'm just going to take that card. The other option is a 2-mana 2/2 that sometimes destroys an enchantment. And the thing about the Guildmage is we can run it even if we end up just being black and white. We don't have to move into blue for it, but it does incentivize us to do that a little bit. So we're back to the Kamigawa pack. All these cards are terrible. I guess we can take a Time of Need in case we get like a really strong legendary creature. This card is just a 2-mana card that lets you search your deck for a legendary card, put it into your hand. Well, we get to take the Rune of Protection for the sideboard. If we play against mono green, this card will be straight gas. Guess we could take a Fall of the Thran, probably not playing it. Take a Satyr Piper. That's actually okay. Just in a green deck with some monsters in it. I was going to say in a mono green deck because I keep thinking of that because of the Rune of Protection, but you don't even have to be mono green. You just have to have some large creatures, and you can just force bad blocks from your opponent. So we open up a pack of Urza's Legacy. Not really a pack you want to open in general in Chaos Draft. The newer the packs are, the better they're going to be. Because these older packs have better non-creature stuff, which is not really good for limited. Yeah, this pack is really empty for our deck. There's a 1-mana 1/1 that can destroy an aura, a 2-mana 1/1 that can give something -1/-1, a 2-mana 1/1 flyer with regenerate for 1. Yeah, for black and white, there's really nothing here. Snap is a decent blue card that can do some busted things in, like, cube decks. but I don't think we're going to get any combos with it. I think I just take the 2-mana 1/1 that can give something -1/-1 until end of turn. Here we have a pack of Time Spiral. And it's not that great a pack. There's a 5-color rare, which is cool, but I'm not really thinking we can do that super well. So we got a 5-mana 2/2 with flanking. When it attacks, you can tap a creature. When it becomes blocked, you can untap it and remove it from combat. That seems pretty good. It's a lot of mana, and what makes the cards that tap things when they attack good is how cheap they are. So that might actually not be great. I'm actually just going to sort by color over here. Kind of want to just take this black card and keep our options open for our next color, but there is Sunshock, which is really good in red. 2 mana, 2 damage to any target, but it has split second, which means that your opponent cannot respond to it in any way. There's also Lightning Axe, which is quite good. I'm just going to take Sunshock. I don't think we're missing a lot by missing out on the 5 mana white card, and the black cards in that pack were not good at all. So we're still just trying to keep our second color open at this point, until we see something that really incentivizes us. Like, Bestial Menace is super strong, so maybe I actually move into green at this point, which is kind of awkward, because I haven't taken, you know, a random green card yet. There's nothing in here for black at all. Guess there's an Apex Hawks for white. It's a 3-mana 2/2 flyer, and you can multi-kicker to give it more +1/+1 counters and make it larger. This could be the wrong choice, but I think I'm going to try to actually move into green here, because Bestial Menace is really strong. For 5 mana, you get a 3/3, a 2/2, and a 1/1. In my opinion, that's even stronger than 5 1/1s. Plus, I think that white is probably getting cut a lot because that Lingering Souls and stuff that's going to try and get other players into white and black specifically. So I don't think we want to run that color scheme, actually, so I don't think Increasing Devotion was the best pick. I probably should have started with Lingering Souls, and I would have been sending less signals for people to draft the same colors as me. Yeah, so here we have a pack of Eventide, and I'm not sure what to take. All these cards are pretty bad. It's basically just taking a random creature, like a 4-mana 3/3 that can become whatever color, or a 5-mana 3/3 that you can sack it to deal 3 to a flyer, or a 4-mana 2/3 you can sack it to put a card in a graveyard back on a deck. I guess I'll take the anti-flyer card. Again, I'm probably not playing any of those cards in that pack. Here we have a pack of Guilds of Ravnica. I guess we can just take the 5-mana 4/5 in black. Yeah, everything else in here isn't phenomenal. The best cards are definitely the multicolored ones, but I can't really afford to take one of those. And we are on to a pack of Vintage Masters. Ivory Tower can be really good. I don't think this is the deck for an Ivory Tower. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you basically gain a bunch of life. If your hand still has 7 cards in it, then you gain 3 life every upkeep, which is really good. But I think I'm just going to take like the 5-mana 4/4 Trample Worm, because Mystic Zealot is basically a 4-mana 2/4 for the vast majority of the game, and maybe it's a 4-mana 3/5 flyer later, which would be really good. But I don't think that'll happen super often. So we're going to take the Arrogant Worm. And this is a pack of Conflux. There's really not anything in here. Like, there's a Reliquary Tower, which we don't need. There's a Tukatung Thallid, which is, I guess, mildly not as bad as a 2-mana 1/1 that doesn't do anything. We could just take the 1-mana 1/1 that replaces itself when it dies. I suppose we'll do that. Yeah, I think we're just moving into green-black at this point. So we just take a Thrashing Moss Dog, 4-mana 3/3 reach, and if it's in your graveyard, you can spend 6 mana and remove it from your graveyard to put 3 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, which is pretty good. Like, the other option is Mutant's Prey, which is really situational. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it fights a creature an opponent controls. Like, sure, it could be a fight spell, but not very often. So I guess I'll take Multani's Acolyte here. 2 mana, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. You do have to pay its mana cost again for it to not die, but still seems like the best card that we're most likely of playing. Here we'll take the 5 mana black card. Put the Satyr Piper back in here. Just if we need things to fill out this deck, which it looks like we do. Got a lot of 5 mana cards in this deck. I think it's a pretty easy 2 mana, 2/1 reach in this pack, just to lower the amount of 5 mana stuff. Even though Vastwood Zendikon is pretty good, it's basically a 5 mana 6/4. Because it's a 5 mana enchantment, you turn one of your lands into a 6/4. So we can take the 3/3, or we can take the 2/3 that comes back when it dies as a 1/2. I guess I'll take the 3/3. I think I actually just want the slightly larger body here. Not playing these cards. We'll take a Guildgate just in case. How is Ivory Tower that late? Nobody's running a control deck? Ivory Tower is insane in a really well-made control deck. I guess that is pretty hard to do in Chaos Draft, but if you're just... There is a strategy to just take every removal spell you see and like nothing else, and then try and turn that into a control deck of some kind. And I feel like whoever's in that deck should absolutely just windmill slam the Ivory Tower. Especially if they have some draw spells in there. So we have a pack of 8th edition core sets. And I think the pick's just going to be Dark Banishing. It's a removal spell. 3 mana, destroy a non-black creature at instant speed. Seems pretty nice. Definitely hoping we get a lot of good cards here so I can start cutting some of the bad stuff. I like Diabolic Tutor a lot, but we don't have a lot to specifically search for. Like, we don't even have a bomb yet, so we just cast Diabolic Tutor and probably we're always searching for Shriekmaw, which is funny, but I guess that is still alright. And we don't really have a lot to do at 4 mana anyway. The other options are a 5 mana 5/3, a 2 mana 2/2 that can't block, a 3 mana 2/2 that is not going to get bigger, and a 2 mana 2/2. I honestly think Diabolic Tutor is the most likely to be decent in this deck. This blue rare is a 5 mana 1/5 that whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they exile the top 4 cards of their library. And if 2 of those cards have the same name, you repeat the process. So that's a weird little mill win condition. Hopefully somebody drafted a pretty sweet mill deck. It was slightly possible. There was a card back in the Innistrad pack that would mill each player 5 cards, and then it has flashbacks so you can do it again. So that's like mill 10. And then there was in Theros the 4 mana 2/4 that when it enters the battlefield you mill somebody. So evasive action. Cannot target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each basic land type among lands you control. So this is... oh my god, I'm not even blue. Why did I... I had the Dimir Guildgate and the Death Cult Rogue, and I started immediately looking at blue cards. Yeah, that's probably not going to be in this deck. I guess there's a 1 mana 1/1. I can spend a black and tap it to have a creature get -2 power till end of turn. There's also a 6 mana 4/4 that gets +2/+2 whenever somebody casts a blue spell. That also just seems bad. There's a 1 black mana 1/1. You can pay a green and tap it and add a mana of any color. I think I'm just going to take the green 1/1. I don't want to play either of them. Oh my god, Chittering Rats is still in this pack. Oh my god, and Echoing Decay. Both of these cards are really awesome. So this is a pack of Darksteel here. So Chittering Rats is a 3 mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent puts a hand or a card from their hand on top of their library. So this basically makes your opponent skip their next draw step, which can be really brutal in terms of card advantage. And it's like a 3 mana 2/2 body. You're not even like playing a bad creature to get that effect. I think this card can be really good, especially there are some really irritating black-blue decks in Pauper that will cast this and then flicker it like exile it and return it to the battlefield and just destroy people. But there's also Echoing Decay. It's a 2-mana instant. All creatures with the same name get -2/-2 till end of turn. But I'm going to take Chittering Rats because that card is just so good. I love it so much. So there's a Rampant Growth. So it's a 2-mana sorcery. If you control 4 or fewer lands, then you search your library for a basic, put it on the battlefield, tap, shuffle. And otherwise, you can discard this and sacrifice a land to draw a card. So this card's good because it does what you need whenever you draw it early or you draw it late. Don't really know how much we want a ramp spell. I guess we kind of do. We have a giant stack of 5-mana cards, and the other cards in here aren't that exciting. There's a 3-mana enchanted creature gets +2/+2. You can also spend it for 1 green mana. You basically pay the suspend cost, and then 2 turns later you cast it for free. And then there's, more random cards that seem pretty bad. So I'm just going to take Edge of Autumn. The card seems pretty good, even if we aren't the most rampy deck here. Foundry Hornet, that's probably just going to be a 4-mana 2/3 flyer, but if we happen to have this out with one of our creatures that gets +1/+1 counters, which I think we only have the Thrashing Moss Dog right now for that, then all our opponent's creatures get -1/-1 till end of turn. I think that's the best card in this pack. I guess we could take Universal Solvent, that might be better. It's 1-mana artifact, and then for 7 mana later in the game you get to destroy a permanent. Do we want the 4-mana 2/3 flyer that does nothing, or the 8-mana removal spell? I'm gonna take the 8-mana removal spell, to be honest. So we have a 2-mana 1/1. As long as you have Threshold, it's a 3/3 flyer. Whenever it becomes a target of spell or ability sacrifice, it doesn't seem great. Got a Putrid Imp. It's a 1-mana 1/1. Discard a card to give it flying till end of turn. As long as there are 7 or more cards in your grave, it gets +1/+1 and can't block. Yeah, I mean, those are basically the 2 choices. I think they're both bad. There's also a 4-mana 2/2 with Swamp Walk that you can tap to give a black creature -2/-0 till end of turn. But at that point, like, why aren't you just Swamp Walking if they're playing black cards? Yeah, this pack's bad. I don't think I want to play any of these cards, but I'll take the flyer, I guess. The one that always has flying. Here we have a pack of Guild Pact, I believe. There's a 4-mana exile target land, so there's a land destruction spell, which is cool. And there's a 2-mana 1/1 with hexproof that can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. I think just having like 1 random land destruction spell is not going to do much, so we probably just want the hexproof guy. I don't think I'm playing him, but I'll take him as an option. This is a pretty easy pack. We just have Giant Badger. 3-mana 2/2. Whenever it blocks, it gets +2/+2. So it's a 4/4 on blocks. The only other option there was Naturalize for sideboard purposes. Here we'll take the Spineless Thug. 2-mana 2/2 can't block. Again, everything we're taking at this point is probably just getting cut out of this deck. Well, I guess we did get a slight combo. We have 1 aura to put on our hexproof guy. Don't think that's really enough. And I'm glad about the pick that I made in that pack, because then we just got the flying 2/3 as our last pick anyway. So, turns out I was super correct in taking this card over the Foundry Hornet because it allowed me to get both of the cards. Alright, so we gotta cut 7 cards out of this deck. I don't think we want this 1/1. But we can run the Menace 1/1 with Kicker to play later, and we can run the 1/1 that replaces itself. Fine. Don't think we want the guy that can't block. Don't think we want the Hexproofer. Altani's Acolyte, that's a pretty difficult mana cost. 2 green mana on turn 2 is very rarely going to happen in this deck, I don't think. We maybe don't want Giant Badger for the same reason. We're definitely, I think, more heavily in black. than green. Just because our double black cards are better. Like, we really want to run these double black cards. The double green cards that we have that are really good are late enough that it's okay to have less forests than swamps. Because we'll probably draw a second forest by these turns. And I guess we can just take this one out, the 4-mana double green card, because he's literally just a 3/3. Yeah, I mean, the curve's pretty awkward and bad, but I think this is the 23 that we run with right here. It is a Chaos Draft, so the decks always look weird and bad. I mean, this does look worse than my last deck, for sure. That Rakdos deck was actually pretty good, mainly just because we had 2 bombs, but... yeah, this could work, I guess, if we draw pretty well. Yeah, let's just do the land suggestion. Oh, you want 3 islands in here for the hybrid costs. Yeah, no. We could put 1 island in. That way, if we draw Edge of Autumn... that way we basically have 2 blue sources. We have Edge of Autumn and the island, so that we can play the Dimir Guildmage's ability to draw a card in those situations. That might be okay. I feel like it's probably not worth messing up the mana for that, though. Let's see, that's 16 lands. So we go 10-7. 9-7-1 doesn't seem that much worse than 10-7. So yeah, I'll throw the 1 island in there, just in case we get the Dimir Guildmage going, and we want to draw some cards. Alright, not super confident in this deck, but we'll see how it goes. People could definitely have worse decks, I have seen them. But people could also have better decks. I guess the good thing about this is, like, as much as I would like to win, to be able to do more Chaos Drafts, I don't have to, because tomorrow I'll have enough coins to do just a regular arena draft. So this is a definite keep. We technically don't have enough mana to put any of our creatures on the board, but we have enough mana for 2 different removal spells, so we're super safe. Jungle Delver for our opponent. That card actually seems like it's probably sweet in Chaos Draft, because in any game where it's going to go like decently slow and eventually you're both top decking, Jungle Delver is a really good mana sink. I mean, it's not a great mana sink, but it's good that it is a mana sink. It's something you get to just put your mana into and get value out of in situations like that, where your opponent might just be sitting there doing nothing, waiting to draw something good. This is awkwardly late to draw the Tukatong Thalid, but that's okay. Because, yeah, now they drew the Pegasus Courser to just give their other creature flying anyway. It's pretty awkward. I really don't want to just evoke the Shriek Maw. I really want to just play it on turn 5 so I can actually have a body with it as well. Which seems like it'll be pretty nice. Opponent plays a Sumala Woodshaper. 4-mana 2/1. They get to get... oh, it gets enchantments as well? Oh, creatures or enchantments. I thought it was creatures or lands. So they get a Burden of Guilt. It's basically a removal spell. They just have to spend 1 mana every time that they want it to do things. Or just spend a mana whenever they want it to shut off a creature. So let's play this little reach guy. That'll get them to stop attacking. It's a 3/3 reach, so if they just attack with everybody again, then I block the flyer with a 3/3, and their flyer is only a 1/3, so it'll be fine. They might even Burden of Guilt it, which I would kind of like. Because that would be somewhat of a waste of the Burden of the Guilt, because then next turn I get to play Shriekmaw, destroy their flying creature, then I don't have to worry about them attacking back at me, and I just get to start slowly chipping away at them with this unblockable creature. Because none of their creatures are black or artifacts. They do have 3 cards in hand. And that's not including Burden of Guilt, I think. Because that just puts it on top, right? Oh no, it puts it in their hand. So they have 3 random cards and 1 Burden of Guilt. So they put Burden of Guilt on the Moss Dog. I'm happy with that. They tap the Moss Dog. They really want to get in there for their 3 damage. Alright. So, I mean... now I'm just going to destroy their flyer, so they can't keep giving their other stuff flying. Then I have my own unblockable threat. Next turn's pretty interesting. It's going to depend on what they do, but next turn I have the choice between playing a Guild Mage and making them discard a card for 6 mana total, or just like dropping out my 4/5. So we'll have to see what they play. They play a 1/1. When it dies, they get a 1/1 lifelinker. Oh, I don't know why I still have that there. Yeah, if they don't play any like large creatures, if I'm not scared of what's on their field, I'm definitely more scared of what's in their hand. In which case, I'll make them just discard a card. Now I'm scared of what's on their field. So I might just play the Guild Mage and play my removal spell on that. This guy's basically just a chump blocker. I might as well stop the damage. Yeah. They only have 2 cards in their hand, so it is really tempting to make them just discard here. I don't think we're going to do it. Yeah, let's just destroy the 5/4, so I don't have to worry about it. Oh, I paid my mana so wrong! Oh no. I'm worse than the auto-tapper, guys. And I can't play my Guild Mage now because I tapped double black. That was really poor. Alright, we're gonna send in with the Reach guy because they can just tap him later. That's so unfortunate. Oh my god. Now I can't even block the Hunted Witness without my creature dying. That's so shitty. I can't believe I'm that dumb. Got so used to auto-tapping everything, I've become worse. I think I just take 2 damage here. Like, 2 damage is nothing. Even when I'm at almost half my life total. Phantom Nomad. Phantom Nomad can be really good. The Phantom cards are kind of irritatingly broken because they don't work as intended. So they come to play with 2 counters. Whenever they're dealt damage, instead of damage being dealt to them, you just remove a counter. So if you put an aura on it, then even if it has 0 counters on it, it still prevents all combat damage to it and attempts to remove a counter. So if you put an aura on it, it's just completely invincible, and it's like the best blocker ever. So those are kind of irritating. I'm gonna make him discard a card here. Rather than play a 4/5. we know it's not just like lands in there. Untap 2 creatures so they both get +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay. So we attack with the Fear guy. I am 1 mana off from being able to cast Devour and make them discard a card next turn, which is unfortunate. Because I would love to do that. I will go ahead and block the Phantom Nomad with a 1/1, turn it into a 1/1. That just seems like straight value for me, making that a 1/1 so it can't attack into my Guild Mage anymore. And they're going to put a counter on the Delver. So the Delver is a 2/2. The race is on. They die in 4 hits. If they had removal, pretty sure they would have used it on the Shriek Maw by now, so that they don't just keep slowly dying. So this Dowser of Life should be able to just stop their combat, and I should be able to slowly win here. Especially because next turn I make them discard 2 cards, so if they're not able to play at least 2 cards this turn, then the card advantage I'm about to get is insane. So they play 1 card, and it's Knight of the Reliquary. It is a 2/2. They can sack a forest or plains and search their library for any land put onto the battlefield. Shuffle. So now I make them discard their whole hand. Then next turn, Petrified Plating my Shriek Maw for the kill. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I hit them for 3, they go to 5. Next turn, +2/+2 on the Shriek Maw. It's now 5 power, gets in, and kills them. Shriek Maw is a very good card. So let's just make them discard their hand. If they have any lands in it, then their Knight of the Reliquary is going to get a bit bigger, but I'll just make sure to block everything next turn. Alright, so they tap my 3/3. Iona's Judgment, so looks like their deck's pretty basic. Just some creatures and removal, just like my deck. Alright. Shriek Maw for the kill next turn. It all depends on what they top deck. They've got 1 last draw step. It's possible that they have a land that does something really good when it's on the battlefield, but I don't think it's super likely. But if they do have one, they get to tutor for it, because the Knight of the Reliquary searches for any land. So if they manage to draft like a Glacial Chasm somehow, that'll be depressing. Glacial Chasm is a land that just says prevent all damage that would be dealt to you, but you have to pay life in your upkeep to keep it around. They could also have Quicksand. Quicksand would be very unfortunate. That's a land that you can sacrifice it to give a attacking creature without flying -1/-2 until end of turn. So that would have killed my Shriek Maw earlier. It won't after I put the plating on it, but it would keep them alive another turn. And that land's a common, and it's in World Wake, which means that they definitely could possibly have it, if they are mildly lucky. Destroy target land. So they're just going to make their Knight of the Reliquary bigger. Let's just make them dead on board. +2/+2 to the unblockable guy, and there's the scoop. Alright, so we are playing against green-white. Airy Oofs, I don't know, could actually be good against their deck. It's a 5-mana 3/3 sack it to deal damage equal to its power to a creature with flying, and it has persist, so it comes back with a -1/-1 counter after you do that. It's like, this could be like 5 mana kill their Pegasus Courser, and if not, it's 2 blockers in 1 still. That's probably better than the 5-mana 4/3 that can get Swamp Walk. In fact, I think that these two should probably just be swapped out in our main deck anyway. This has one more power. I guess it does have the ability to become unblockable against the right deck, which we have seen is really good. But that's also just because Shriekmaw's really good. Shriekmaw's a great card. Lorwyn had some awesome cards. Lots of the evoke stuff. Shriekmaw's incredible, and obviously everybody knows Mole Drifter is like the masterclass of creatures with enter the battlefield effects. That is the 5-mana 2/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 cards, but also you can just evoke it for 3. Alright, I think this is where we want the deck. Just submit it. Game 2 of round 1. Universal Solvent. Forgot that was in here. That's a little awkward. I'll take it. I'll just slam it out turn 1 and be like, yeah, that's right. Get ready for turn 7. Whatever you got, it's gone. One of those permanents. Could even just be a land. I highly doubt this, like... I feel like this probably hits a land like 2% of the time that people play it. Actually, how does suspend work? It's too late now. I'll suspend it next turn. So rather than cast it, put it with 2 counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a counter. When the last is removed, cast it. Okay, so that's good. It's good I didn't just suspend it right now. If I suspended it right now, I'd remove a counter next turn, and the turn after, remove a counter, and it would cast without any legal targets. So that would be terrible. But suspending it next turn is really nice, if they don't have a removal spell. But since I don't have anything else to do that turn, and I have something to do on turn 3, turn 4, and turn 5, if I can curve out with it like that, that'll be really nice. So they cast a Deeproot Champion. That's a very nice card. That can be very scary. Makes me a little concerned their hand probably has a lot of, at least a few, non-creature spells. And usually if you're playing non-creature spells in Limited, there's like a 50-50 chance it's just removal spells. So, really hoping this Death Cult Rogue stays, because if it doesn't, then our Petrified Plating, I think, might go onto their Deeproot Champion. Oh wait, I can choose not to cast it off of the suspend. Oh, I can't choose. You have to cast it, and I would have to choose the legal target, so... Okay, they didn't have a removal spell, so that's super good. But they have a 3/3 and a 2/2 now, and that's pretty scary. What? No attacks? They don't want to offer the trade with the rogue? That's interesting to me. They must have removal then, if they don't want to offer the trade, because this is going to be a 4/4 unblockable, like right now. It is a 4/4 unblockable now, so I feel like they would have wanted to kill that if they didn't have another way to do so, so I think I'm about to get like Burden of Guilted or something. But we're going to get in there anyway. Because I do have another threat afterward. It's the Shriekmaw. Y'all know Shriekmaw. Shriekmaw's the best. So, 5 mana. Iona's Judgment, exile our dude. Fair enough. Well, I'm glad I have a 3/3 out against this stuff. Yeah, I'll trade my 3/3 for their 3/3, and then I will Shriekmaw their dude. Then they have 2 cards in hand, and no creatures out. And I have 2 cards in hand and a Shriekmaw out. This seems like a good place to be. I also have Universal Solvent out. And if I draw another forest, I can scavenge 3 +1/+1 counters onto Shriekmaw. Beginning of each player's upkeep deals damage to that player equal to the number of swamps they control. That's unfortunate, but I think I can outrace it if I just draw a forest. So obviously I won't draw a forest. Alright, well, I can still probably outrace it. We just gotta play fast here. And if I draw any 2 lands, I can destroy that. So obviously we are on major aggro here because they had, like, an irritating sideboard card. This is the kind of stuff they used to have in core sets all the time, that they've stopped making cards like this because they realized that it's just irritating and not a great way to design cards. It's not as atrocious as way back when they had 4 mana cards that was like Flash Fires, that's like a red and 3, destroy all planes, and stuff like that. But they just had some insane color hosers. Now they don't even have to do anything and I take 4 damage a turn. But 7 damage is more than 4. I will win the race right now. It just all depends on what they have in their hand. But all they really need to do is just make a couple chump blockers to be safe here. And it looks like they've drawn not great stuff, maybe? Hopefully? Oh yeah, this is an easy choice. What now? Now I have a 6/5 unblockable. So we have some cute little combos in this deck with our few things that make stuff bigger, like Petrified Plating and our Scavenge guy and our unblockable creatures. Alright, that's the scoop from opponent. We won a match with this deck, and the cards lined up a lot better than they looked on paper. That was actually some really synergistic games. That was quite fun. But that being said, the odds of them lining up like that every game are not super high, so we'll probably have to play this like just a regular deck in these upcoming rounds. Instead of like this was super themed around unblockability. Also, if we play against the black deck, then Shriekmaw is just infinitely worse, and our deck as a whole is infinitely worse, because Shriekmaw is easily the best card in here. And also Dark Banishing is terrible against black decks as well, because it's destroy a non-black creature. So things could go really wrong. So we just gotta hope that we're not paired up against black or artifact decks, basically. And if so, our deck is alright. I feel like our deck is just terrible against other black decks, though. Alright, we found an opponent. And we're ready to play some Magic. From random sets from the history of the game. This is a horrible hand, but I don't like to mulligan. It's got 2 cards we can cast. And any card that we draw we can cast, so that's cool. So, opponent starts with the Plains. Hopefully they're not the white-black Lingering Souls deck that we, like, set up to draft against. It's another white-green deck. They start with Einok Bondkin. That's a pretty good card. So, for 2 mana, they can put a counter on it and tap it, and it's basically got first strike for the rest of the game. As well as all of their other creatures with a +1/+1 counter. And if we get creatures that are larger than theirs, and we're not in a super racing situation, they can just keep putting counters on it. I think it's a pretty good card. Outlast was pretty brutal mechanic. But so were most of the mechanics in Khans of Tarkir, actually. The cards were quite powerful. And every mechanic had ways to just blow you out. Outlast was just like, if you guys get to a stalemate on the board, the Outlast deck just always wins. Delve can have really explosive, brutal starts. Prowess can blow you out of nowhere during combat. They can just be like, Kindle Fury, and now you're doomed, you know? Khans was a crazy set. I think my only problem with it was that while those mechanics were all cool, they didn't get to shine that often, because most of the time people were just playing 5-color piles. They were just drafting every dual land, throwing in every morph card, and that was like the decks, period. That's just what everybody played. Like, technically, it wasn't like that all the time, but it was way too easy to just be playing your 3-color wedge, and then you open a rare in another color, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm 5-color now. And so decks weren't really built under that kind of design philosophy super often, or at least as often as I felt like they should have. Well, that's a pretty good combo. They got a 4-mana 2/2 haste that enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, so now they just both have first strike. So their deck's actually synergistic, so I don't think I'm in a very good spot. Next turn I can make a 4/5 though, which can block those, so they'll have to start outlasting onto their Bondkin some more to be able to get an attack in. I think turn 7 we're going to have to kill their 2-drop, which is super unfortunate, but I think that we need to make their stuff with counters on it not have first strike. The Samite Healer is really annoying as well. If I attack them, they can block with their 2/3, prevent 1 damage to it, and then my 3/3 only does 2 damage to their Raptors, so they just get to search their library for a land, put it on the battlefield, and they don't even take any damage or lose a creature. So attacking is just awful. Opponent definitely has control of the board with their effects like first strike and damage prevention. So they're going to outlast onto their Bondkin, which I do think is the right choice. However, I do have my 6th and 7th land, so by the time their Bondkin gets large enough to attack into my 4/5, I can kill it, which is good. Never mind. If you were just going to kill my 4/5, then I have no idea why they put counters on the Bondkin. That actually seems like the wrong play now, but right after praising my opponent, it's like, well, why didn't you just attack with them both? If you were just going to kill the 4/5, that was the only thing stopping you from attacking. Because if you attack with your 3/2 first strike into a 1/1 and a 3/3, you can just be like, I kill the 3/3 first, and then I take 1 damage on my 3/2. Like, they would be perfectly fine. Yeah, this is kind of a brutal start. I mean, I guess putting a counter on the Bondkin worked out. It's kind of like my opponent is just prophetic and knew that I was going to draw 4/4. Or just something with 4 toughness instead of 3. Definitely just going to chump block the Bondkin this turn. If they attack with everybody, I chump block with Bondkin. Or I chump block with the Tukatung, block the Steed with my 4/4, and then next turn I'm going to destroy the Bondkin. Send in the Bondkin. We're getting a 1/1 Saproling. Jungle Shrine from opponent. That's really nice. They are red, green, white, and they got the red, green, white tapped land. They play a 3-mana 3/2 that can get flying until end of turn for 2 mana. That's not that scary. They're red, green, and white, so I think I saved the Dark Banishing in my hand because it's not on the board being like, hello, look at me. So yeah, we're going to use the Universal Solvent on their Bondkin at a good moment. If they don't do anything next turn, we just do it in their end step. But if they try to do some kind of wonky attack, then we do it during that. But it's definitely thinking they've got at least one non-creature card in their hand, or they could just be considering this combat. Because there's a lot to think of on their board. It sends him with the Bondkin and the Sky Climber. So I'm going to block with my Reach creature here. So we're going to block there just in case, and then use Universal Solvent on the Bondkin. Alright. So our Flying Dude and Reach Dude trade off. Now they just have a 3/3 as their biggest threat. Oh, looks like they drew another threat. It's a 3-mana 2/2. Basically, if they get Threshold, they win. And it's a 4/4 that they can tap it to give an attacking or blocking creature +3/+3 till end of turn. So we do not want them to get 7 cards in their grave. For sure. So I could Moss Dog some counters onto something. I think the safest play is to play the 3/3 Menace, and then I get to save up Dark Banishing. I guess I can also just use Dark Banishing on the Vigilant Sentry if they ever get Threshold, if they're not playing any other threats. I probably don't need to banish anything just yet, so I could play the Lemures first. Now, I'm going to play it safe. We're going to always play what saves 3 mana up. Because if I draw 1 land, then I can do the same thing with Lemurs, where I cast it and save up mana for Dark Banishing. Alright. Things are about to go into the slow game. Definitely have survived much longer than I expected to. Attacking still seems awful. They just get to block with a 3/3 and a 2/3, and I only kill one of them. I mean, I can make my Worm a 7/7, in which case they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power. Oh, Diabolic Tutor is perfect. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, and it's 4 mana, so I get to save up Dark Banishing. So we're going to grab a Shriek Maw. And that will be how we plan to win this game. Think. We could also grab the Death Cult Rogue, but I feel like grabbing the one that destroys one of their creatures is better. We will have to use Dark Banishing on their artifact creature because Shriek Maw can't kill the artifact creature. But I think that's okay. So yeah, then we won't have Dark Banishing up anymore as a safety valve, unfortunately. So we kill the artifact creature. Now we kill the Threshold guy. And then next turn we just slap a bunch of counters on Shriek Maw and go to town. Guess we just go to town right now. So they prevent 1 damage to them, no blocks. Yeah, I kind of just cleared off their board there in those last couple turns, so there's no reason not to just go to town right now. Benevolent Bodyguard's a pretty sweet draw for them, actually. I guess it's not that great, because it doesn't make their board presence better. But it just forces me to now only attack with my unblockable creature, which will still kill them pretty fast. I can actually attack with my flyer as well, and then they die. They don't die in 2 turns because of the Samite Healer. They still die in 3 turns. I guess I probably should still just be attacking with everybody, to be honest. Even though they could set up a pretty sweet block with the Benevolent Bodyguard. They only have 3 blockers, so if I attack with everything, they block, what, the 4-4 with the 2-3 and the 3-3, they double block. They take 6, 7, 8. -1 from Samite Healer, but +1 because Trample. So they do die if I just attack with everybody. But I think that also leaves me vulnerable to like a pump spell. I don't want to just like make a swing and then they go like Fog into Giant Growth or something. Or they just somehow survive with like 1 life just because I wasn't like thinking the combat through straight and then they just come back with Giant Growth. Because they have exactly 4 power out right now, so I would like some blockers. Uh-oh. Looks like they are trying to do a lethal combat here. There is a card that gives +5/+5 till end of turn. I guess I'm just really hoping they don't have that. I really like the idea of blocking the Bodyguard just to get it off the board, but I think I'm going to stop more damage this way. I do let them get a land. Edge of Autumn. 2, 3, 4, 5. Cast like that, save 2 black and 1 up for Edge of Autumn. Wait, that makes all my creatures not untap? Oh my god, Blinding Beam's busted! It's not just the 2 they target, it's all my creatures don't untap. Jesus. That's not fair at all. Good. Another land. Wonderful. Well, I mean, as soon as... If I survive this turn, they die. Because, yeah, now I have thresholds. This is a 3/3 flyer. Oh, wait, no, they get to just kill it, though. That's kind of unfortunate. So now they just get to tap Samite Healer and kill my flyer. They are still dead in 2 turns, though. So I just need to make sure I've got, like, good blocks. Or just that I block well enough to not die. Benevolent Bodyguard is gonna guarantee 2 damage in. Whenever they sacrifice it, they can just give one of their creatures protection from black. No attacks. I like that. We did draw a creature. I like that as well. So, if my opponent is smart, they will target the Bone Shard guy with their Samite Healer to just kill it. So there's like no reason not to attack with it though, because if they don't realize that, then I'm in a super good spot. Because they just die if they don't realize that. If not, they do just die next turn. Oh my god, they didn't even realize! So yeah, whenever Bone Shard Slasher becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. They could have just targeted it with Samite Healer, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to it. That doesn't matter, because then it would have become targeted and it would have just died. And I love that they they did the BM of the reveal hand and being like, all I had was more lands at the end too, because like it was a situation where they could have survived. That was a really close game. So, I mean, Dark Banishing and Shriekmaw are still sick against this deck. Don't know if there's much I want to change. Did they have any flyers? I don't think they had any flyers at all. So the Area Oofs doesn't even do anything. So the one more power might actually matter, but I think one power versus when it dies come back as a 2/2. I still just want the one that comes back as a 2/2 so I can block more often. Because the Swamp Walk is not going to happen. So yeah, we just did the exact same deck change there. Take out the Viscid Lemirs and add in the Airy Oafs. The Oofes. The Woofs. I forgot we still have that one island for the Dimir Guildmage. Maybe we take out the island as well, just so our mana's a little better. Hey, but here's the Guildmage. I can Diabolic Tutor for the island, guys. I think this hand's pretty good. Turn 4 Tutor into turn 5 Shriekmaw. I feel like in most decks, turn 4 Tutor into turn 5 Win is what usually happens, but me, I'm just like, I mean, I'll grab a Shriekmaw. Shriekmaw's good. Petrified Plating on the Shriekmaw will be sweet if they don't have a way to kill it. There I go again, drawing Tukatung Thallid after turn 1. Classic. I don't think I'll ever draw this guy on turn 1. Unless I already have, I don't remember. 2/3 Reach. When it blocks creature with flying, gets +2/+0 till end of turn. Yeah, that's tight. We just play the Thallid, play the Slasher, and no attacks. Opponent definitely has options. They've definitely got a lot of 3 or less mana cards in their hand. So they're going to Savage Punch, destroy the Guildmage. That's fine. It's totally fine with me, because I was going to have to choose between tutoring or Guildmaging this turn, and now I'll just tutor, obviously, because I don't have the Guildmage anymore anyway. To the Shriekmaw we go. Not a fantastic start this game. I am at card disadvantage right now. Just because I've gotten two 1/1s on this board, so definitely seems like the cards I've played have been less impactful in general than the cards that they have played. There's a good way to see kind of who's in a better stance. Whoever plays the most impactful cards obviously is in the best situation. I'll take the 2 damage here. I don't know what this attacks for. I guess they get to Spectacle something or something like that. Benevolent Bodyguard. I mean, I get to get rid of the Benevolent Bodyguard. And then Shriekmaw's still unblockable anyway. That seems fine with me. I'll go and attack first, though, because I'm not going to block the spider. Yeah, I think I just play Shriekmaw to get rid of the Bodyguard, because the Bodyguard doesn't cost any mana, so might as well. And even just a 3/2 unblockable seems great against their deck, regardless. Sack your Bodyguard. Yep. Bodyguard is gone. So I don't have the mana to cast the Rogue and the Plating, but that would be pretty awesome. I don't actually know if I want to plating the Shriekmaw or plating the Rogue, because the Rogue, I'm almost 100% certain Rogue will be unblockable against everything, whereas I know they have at least one creature that Shriekmaw can be blocked by. So we'll play another unblockable dude. Attack with Shriekmaw. See if they do anything about it. Like, I probably should have just plating Shriekmaw. Yeah, that was kind of a flub. Oh shit, they got Dark Cloud music in this? Yes. This is the best. Dark Cloud's awesome. Alright. Well, I basically made the choice for myself there. Of putting the plating on the Rogue. If they have the removal and they didn't just use it on the Shriekmaw, that would be highly surprising. And they would blow me out of nowhere if they were just like, haha, now I shock your Rogue. Because I was really expecting if they had the removal at instant speed to just use it when I declared the attack. Save as much damage throughout the game as possible. Which was another reason that I was thinking of maybe just attacking and then plating the Rogue. I honestly think it probably would have been better to just plating the Shriekmaw. Especially the fact that they didn't have any instant speed removal means that it would have ended better to put the plating on the Shriekmaw, in hindsight. For sure. I guess just with like the knowledge that we had, I don't know which was better. But I think it was still better to plating the Shriekmaw just immediately for more damage that turn. So they could have like a Wrath of God. That would be very unfortunate if they just draw into like a Wrath of God later in this game. But otherwise, I think we're in a decent spot. They have a 2/3, and that's the only threat they have. I have 7 power of unblockability. And if I get one more land, I have the Universal Solvent to blow up whatever creature they play later that could be an actual threat to my life. Or if it's like a colorless creature or a rogue, I can blow it up just so I can get my damage in. If any of you have not played Dark Cloud 1, it is on the PlayStation 4 store. It was a PS2 classic. I would absolutely recommend it. Dark Cloud 2 is great as well, but I prefer Dark Cloud 1 just because the town building is a lot more simple. Dark Cloud is a great hybrid of an action RPG, where you level up your weapons and your characters as you play along, and a town builder, because as you're going through the dungeons, you get all these pieces to rebuild the towns that were destroyed in this apocalyptic scenario. So, I don't know, I think it's just a really good hybrid. I think Dark Cloud's a great game. Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2. Dark Cloud 1 has more characters and a simpler town builder. Dark Cloud 2 is more refined, has what most people think is a better art style, and more gameplay mechanics for sure. The town building is much more in-depth, as is some of the combat and upgrade features, but there's only 2 characters to play as instead of like 6 like were in the original. So yeah, let's just randomly talk about video games while we wait for our opponent to decide things. So they're gonna fireball the rogue. Seems fair enough. So we hit him for 3. Drop a 2/3 flyer with no abilities. That's not gonna attack until we get the solvent mana to destroy their spider. They have 5 cards in their hand and I have none. That is rarely a position I want to be in. But we do have, like, advantage on board. On board, it really looks like we're gonna win, but you have to account to the fact that they have 5 cards. If 2 of those are removal spells, they win this game easy. If 1's a removal spell, they're still in a good spot. But it seems like they're probably just all creatures, which I could definitely outrace. especially if I draw land here. That works too. Yeah, I just destroy the flyer. Now I get to get in for 6 damage instead. They do get to keep their Sky Climber back to block a flyer next turn, which they'll have to do because they're going to 6 life right now. I do think that means if I draw a basic land that I win. If they do nothing to my creatures, or if they don't play another flyer or a reach creature, then if I draw a basic land I win. Because then I'll have the 7 mana to use my Universal Solvent to destroy their core Sky Climber, so let's hope that that is what happens. I guess Petrified Plating on the Death Cult Rogue worked out, because then my 2 power one died instead of my 3 power one. But I think it evens out because of the extra damage I would have gotten out of being able to swing the turn that I played the plating. And definitely if they play an artifact creature, then it did not work out. Because then I have the wrong kind of unblockability out on this field. Alright, well, we drew the land. Let's try. What you got? They got a fog. They got something to deal damage to all attacking creatures that I'll just get blown out by. There are technically cards that would be very bad for me here. We did it! We won the match. They had a Collective Blessing to give all their creatures +3/+3. They had a Mighty Leap, which is whatever. They could have survived if they just cast Mighty Leap, but I think that they were done with it at that point. Opponent was clearly kind of irritated by the fact that they're revealing their hand at the end of every game. So yeah, I mean, they could have Mighty Leapt this guy and blocked this, so this would have been dead, and then they would take... Did it take 5 damage, go to 1 life? And then, yeah, I don't know what's in their deck, but it's highly unlikely whatever they had would have saved them from another attack. So yeah, that's 4-0. 2 wins. 2 match wins. No losses in individual games so far. So we got enough play points to do another Chaos Draft, at least at this point. So, I mean, that's great. It's already better than I thought the deck would do, and I'm definitely happy with that. But let's see if we can get another trophy. I only have 1 trophy. I only have that Rakdos deck I made, I don't know, like 5 or 6 days ago. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've done a Chaos Draft. Yeah, the Rakdos deck with just double bomb rare was super sick. Desecration Demon and Ghouldra's Spectre. I believe that's the deck that I trophied with. Trophying on Magic Online just means that you went 3-0 and you won the league. Because it is 3 matches, best of 3. 3 best of 3 matches every time you play. Regardless of how you do. You could win the first 2 rounds and still play a 3rd match, even though you can't really win anything if you do that. So I am ready to get crushed. Ready to play against a real good deck. And get demolished. Just for some Divine Justice in here. Is this Monkey Island music? Sounds vaguely like it would be. Oh, it's Donkey Kong Country. That makes sense as well. Haven't actually gotten into Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii U. I tried. I played some and it was just bland. I don't know what it is, but just with Nintendo side-scrolling platformers, every time I play them I'm like, this is really polished and well made clearly, but there's just nothing grasping to me about it. You know, I'll play the first few levels, maybe the first world. And then I'll just be like, yeah, I don't have any desire to go further in this. I don't know what it is. Yes, I would like to play first. And this hand is sick if I draw one swamp. So, let's figure out if my opponent is playing black in the most ballsy way possible. By suspending the petrified plating to put it on my fear creature. So if they're playing black, then this is a terrible play. But I can't tell if they're playing black until I've already made the play, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna be ballsy. Try and just get there with the cutthroat. He'll be a 4/3 unblockable if they're not playing black. They could also just bounce my cutthroat, in which case plating just gets countered, basically, and that would be terrible. So far they're mono blue. I get 4 damage off of this at least, so even if they remove it now, this will be cute. We did something with it. It was basically 1 mana, do 2 damage to your opponent, which is not great. Oh, easy Chittering Rats here. Make them skip their next draw step. This is quite a good start. My god. So we don't know what their second color is. Odds are they have a second color. It's very unlikely they go mono-colored, but there are some cards in Eventide and Shadowmoor, which are both in the Chaos draft a lot, that really incentivize you to play mono-colored. Like Corrupt, deal damage to a target creature or player equal to the number of swamps you control. In blue, are they playing a mill deck? They're playing a mill deck. Interesting. I mean, they're possibly just running Tomescar as a non-creature for their Riddle form, but that doesn't make any sense to me, because you could run anything else. Oh, did this guy get that 5 mana blue rare that exiles the top 4? I hope they did. If I lose to a mill deck, that's a great way to end this. Because that's exciting. It is always awesome to see weird things happen. Especially in Chaos Draft, where it's like much harder to build these kind of strange offbeat decks. Get in there for 6. If I cast Edge of Autumn, then I set up for if I draw a basic land next turn, I get to cast one of my 5 mana cards, but if I don't, then I'm just setting up for nothing. Whereas I can just play a Satyr Piper and just like guaranteed have another creature on this board. So I don't know what's actually better. Think I'd rather set up another land here. Because I don't think a 2/1 is the best creature to be adding to this board. But they don't have anything on their board, and that's the scoop. So, like, that's the power of Chittering Rats. Like, they were set up for some bad draws there in the first place, but making them skip one more of their draw steps gave them one less turn to draw that third land, which just demolished them. So yeah, Chittering Rats is ridiculous. As was the start with the turn 2 4/3 unblockable. That was pretty nice as well. However, now if they have any kind of unsummons in their sideboard, that's coming right in, so my enchantments are a lot worse, but I also only have 1 enchantment, so it's okay for them to sideboard in against that. I think that's actually in my favor if they sideboard in against that. I basically have 2 enchantments though, but this one's like a really late game one. This is kind of like a 6-mana enchantment to give +3/+3 once it's in my grave. Because, yeah, if they bounce the creature I put the counters on, then the counters are gone. Same way. Probably want Air Youths over the Lemurs yet again. Just because they're playing blue. We did see 1 flyer, which this can kill, because you can sacrifice it at any time, so whenever the Riddle form becomes active, we can kill it. So yeah, I think I think the one thing we've learned from all of these games is that this card should have been in the sideboard and this one should have been in the main deck. But other than that, stuff has worked out. Stuff has definitely worked out. Hand's a little bit awkward. I forgot about the Bog Raiders. I should have swapped that out for something. This hand's a lot slower, so it's much less likely that I just pound them out to death, and I might be a slow enough game for us to actually see what kind of scary stuff they have in their deck. So blue-white with a flyer. So it looks like they might have just had a random Tome Scour for fun. That's unfortunate. We drew the Cutthroat after we would have suspended the plating. But I think it's still best to just play the Cutthroat. If they don't use something to remove it right now, we'll just put the plating on it, like whatever. We'll do the same game. I'm down for that. I was just hoping to draw another large card. Okay, so they got the guy that taps creatures, so I don't think we want to play a plating until we get rid of that. Which we'll get rid of with Shriekmaw. I could also just play plating right now, I get some extra damage in, and then they start tapping him. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I need one more land to get Shriekmaw. So in 2 turns we get to play Shriekmaw. As long as I draw one more land. And if I don't draw a land next turn, I can just cast Edge of Autumn. Because I'm not under that much pressure. I'm under 2 damage a turn. They play a 4-mana card. Bold. Bold. They're going to let the Cutthroat hit him again. They are in for the race. So we're taking 3. See if we draw land. We do draw land, so I don't have to cast Edge of Autumn here. I can actually just cycle Edge of Autumn the turn that I cast Shriekmaw, because I don't have anything for more than 5 mana. I think we play... It's literally just do we play a 2-2 or a 2-1, because this guy's ability is very rarely going to be relevant. I guess we can use him to remove another one of their flyers by forcing a bad block, but I think they're just going to be attacking every turn. But yeah, this will trade for anything that Bog Raiders would trade for. I guess Bog Raiders survives combat with the Blinding Mage, but I do not think that they will keep attacking with the Blinding Mage. I think the second that they have a cheap enough card to save 1 mana up and tap Cutthroat, they're obviously going to do that instead of attacking with him. So opponent's reading the card. It doesn't really do much in this game, to be honest. It basically just makes sure that they keep attacking me with all of their flyers instead of saving anything to block, which they were probably going to do anyway. I don't think there was going to be a lot of blocking in this match. Opponent is thinking a lot. For sure. Alright. Hit him for 4. They're down to 3 cards in hand. So we just gotta hope that their cards are worse than mine. Which isn't super unlikely because Shriekmaw is so good. 5 mana in the air, I go down to 10. Aviary Mechanic. Okay. I guess they get to cast the Prowl cost for the Latchkey Fairy. Wow, if they... I probably would have used this to return the fairy and cast it and draw a card. So they must have something here. Otherwise, I think they absolutely would have done that. I'm about to take 10 damage. Because I take 5 this turn, and I take 5 next turn. So I maybe just destroy a flyer. We let the Blinding Mage tap one of my guys every turn. I think I just destroy the bigger flyer, actually. Yep, obviously. Alright, now we'll cycle. And I'm probably gonna Diabolic Tutor for the oofs. the oafs. Still don't know how to say that word. Alright, we trade there. I'm only taking 2 a turn instead of 5 a turn, which is very good. For me. Oh shit, there's a Serum Raker. They are just going off with flyers. Alright, yeah, this is bad, but the oafs will get rid of both of their flyers. Because it gets to do 3 damage to one of them, then 2 to the other. So I definitely just cast Diabolic Tutor for oafs. No, they're not tapping my creatures? Interesting. I guess they might have accidentally F6'd. I guess... Well, no, because they have the Blinding Mage Mana next turn, so I only put them to 2 life. Yeah, we grab the persistent oafs. Airy oafs. So yeah, we spend 5 mana, cast this as a 3/3, sacrifice it to do 3 damage to the Serum Rakers, then it comes back as a 2/2, sacrifice it to do 2 damage to the Stormfront Pegasus. Maybe they have a pump spell? That would be really unfortunate. But they only have 6 damage on the board. Turn an instant or sorcery from their grave to their hand. They don't have one. Okay. We take 5, go to 3. Okay. So... go to combat. They tap the 4-power guy. We do 3 to them. They die next turn. I think we play oafs, and since we can use the ability at any time, we can also use it to block a ground creature. If they go for that route. Tap the Thallid. Go to combat. Attack with everybody. I block the ground guy. Stop that damage. I now shoot the guy that makes us discard a card. And I shoot the other flyer as well. Oh my god! 3-0, 6-0. The Airy Oofs coming in with the big block at the end. Block the ground guy, destroy both your flyers. Oh, off the Diabolic Tutor as well. And I'm just like, Diabolic Tutor is not actually that good without crazy bombs to search up. Meanwhile, I just search up Shriekmaw every game into searching up the perfect answer this game, Airy Oofs. What a great Chaos Draft. Oh my god. That worked out way better than I imagined it possibly could. Thank you all for watching that Chaos Draft. For anyone who did so. I know these videos are not nearly as popular as the Arena videos, because Arena is a lot easier to watch, to be honest. Magic Online is quite the bland client in comparison. But yeah, thanks anybody who stuck around, who's enjoying the Chaos Drafts. I will definitely be back with another one. We just won enough play points to do another one for free, so I'll absolutely do that at some point. But tomorrow I will be back with a Ravnica Allegiance... No, Guilds of Ravnica draft on Magic Arena, I think. Unless I miscalculated my gold, then I'll just be back with another Chaos Draft. And back with Arena the day after. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this crazy Chaos Draft. And I'll see you all next time.